After leaving the manor, we luckily did not run into anyone, but there were people scattered about when we arrived at the town square, and one by one, they noticed me. I looked down to try and escape their gaze, but those countless piercing eyes struck me.
I told you, it's fine.
But... huh? My hand suddenly brushed against empty air. Lavan let go of my hand, and I quickly lost sight of him. Lavan! Wait for me! My worries and loneliness grew. I wanted him to hold my hand again. I looked up in the hopes of finding him, and... What are you doing here? Now I'm... what? Even my phone was like... Vroom, vroom. Why are you vibrating right now? I swear if my crack theory comes true and you were actually Francisca all along, I'm gonna lose my mind. Anyway.
You really were released. I'm so glad.
Huh?
I was talking with the hawk people earlier. People thinking you were a witch was all a misunderstanding.
The tavern employee. The old lady that always utilized my handyman services. There were more. One after the other, people gathered around me.
Well, I personally believe that you were no witch.
You're talking out of your rear! You were freaked out until yesterday about how the witch would kill the town!
I still can't believe you're a woman.
You sure got us there. Didn't expect you to look this good as a girl and a guy.
Oh, sorry.
I should be the one to say sorry. I asked you to do so much physical labor.
I thought that the entire town feared or hated me. But I was wrong. There were so many that were welcoming me back. I felt something warm coming up from inside of me. I wonder where Lavan went. I looked around to find the person who brought me here. Oh. I finally noticed, or rather I remembered that I had forgotten. Beyond the people who had gathered around me, there were others who were looking from afar. Some bore expressions of fear, others had clear contempt in their eyes. There were many more people who were not happy that I was safe.
And you were married too. So many things came as a huge surprise to me.
Huh? My sad feelings were startled out of me. The people already knew about that? It just happened a moment ago. Yeah.
And your husband is the Lord of the Wolves, too.
That's cause for celebration.
I guess we can't talk to you like friends anymore.
That's not true. I would like for you to continue being good friends with my wife.
Lavan? I thought he disappeared, but he reappeared right next to me.
Ah! You surprised me!
Oh, the Lord himself is with you!
The people who were making merry earlier suddenly tensed up. I didn't blame them. Lavan was now the Wolf Lord, and I was his wife, ?
Judd, you'd prefer it that way, wouldn't you?
Of course.
You heard my wife. Please.
After saying that, Lavan bowed his head, causing everyone to tense up even more. I thought Lavan interacted with the townspeople in a more carefree way before. Was this because he was now the Wolf Lord, or...
Now then, I think we should return for today. I'm sorry, but we only came by to see how the town was doing.
Though he was nice about it, he spoke firmly. At the same time, he dragged me by the hand to return to the path we came from. I returned to Wolf Manor, which looked as if nothing had changed, with an odd feeling within me. Yeah, I've got that feeling too. Whoa! Damn, fancy. I like it. I mean, the colors are really nice. It's like a combination of your two outfits. You also look dead inside, though, girl. You got, like, that glazed look, you know? And there my new life began. In the new manor, I had no reason to lie about my gender anymore. Yay? And soon enough, Levi came by with a perplexed look on his face. Okay, please tell me you feel the oddness too. He was happy that I was safe, but mad at Lavan for not telling him. But he still congratulated me. That's right. I needed to keep my marriage and name secret from Levi, too? It's not that I didn't trust him, but it was better to keep it discreet as much as possible. But the town knows that you're married! Why would you keep another secret from that boy? But...
You should know better, considering how you kept your identity secret from me and Levi.
I couldn't agree completely, but when he said it so firmly, I had no choice but to back down. To this day, I still regretted keeping my secret from them. And yet, I was repeating the same mistake. The three of us lived in the same manor, but we rarely saw each other. Levi often stayed out, and Lavan was busy with his work as the Lord. And I was typically stuck inside my room. For some reason it had bars on it, I don't know why. I was still afraid of going outside the manor. I knew there were people who treated me well, but I hated the constant gazes from the people who didn't. I stayed inside because I didn't want to see people. The people I wanted to see lived with me, but I couldn't see them. That life continued for some time. Yeah? Oh! One day during breakfast, Lavan appeared for the first time in a long while. Good morning, Lavan! The tone of my voice jumped high. He may have noticed that I sounded too happy.
Yeah, good morning.
Luckily, Lavan didn't seem to mind at all as he smiled at me. That smile seemed forced on his tired face. Are you okay? You look a little pale.
I'm just a little tired. But that's no excuse to fall behind on work.
But...
I'm going back to work. You go ahead and relax.
Oh, wait! It was the first we talked a while, but that was it. Since then, Lavan and I constantly missed each other. Once every few days, we would see each other only to exchange pleasantries. It was painful, being unable to help him and never being together despite living under the same roof. We had always been like family, and although it was only in name, I was Lavan's wife now. The more I thought of it, the more painful it became. And that pain forced me to turn to another source of pain. Outside of the manor. Okay. The commotion from back then seemed to have passed. The town square was back to its original bustling mood. There were more people than I expected, so I felt uneasy. But the piercing gazes were much fewer than I thought, and...
Oh my, it's the Lady of the Wolves.
Huh?
I was worried sick because you and your husband haven't come here in so long. I haven't even given our formal congratulations.
I'm sorry. Lavan, my husband has been busy with work.
Oh, is that so? Then I will visit for a formal greeting sometime later.
Oh, thank you. There were people who proactively came to talk to me. Many of them were with the Wolf Clan. They only seemed to greet me as a formality, since I was the wife of the Lord. On the other hand, people with the Hawk Clan seemed to keep their distance, including the people I was close to before. Could it be because my position changed? I was the town handyman, then a witch, and now the wife of the Wolf Lord. Looking back, those were extreme changes. Though it couldn't be helped that some would be more distant, I felt lonely. With my fear of the outside world decreased, I headed to town more often. I exchanged greetings with the people I met briefly. The Wolf Clan became more friendly with me. Thanks to that, I could feel how different the townspeople treated me now. They no longer suspected me of being a witch. I was simply the wife of the Wolf Lord. It reaffirmed how strong of an influence the wolves and the hawks had on the town. I decided to head out to meet the people more often than before. In turn, my time with Lavan became even less than before. Because of this, I didn't notice. What? What? The ominousness that it's building towards, I don't like. I spent my time in town until the evening. When I opened the front door, it must have been a coincidence that Lavan happened to pass by. Oh, Lavan! I'm home. I'm sorry I was out late. Lavan walked away without saying a word. His forced smile was no longer there. From that day on, or perhaps it had gone on longer and I simply hadn't noticed, Lavan started to act strangely. He no longer smiled, and any sort of cheerfulness was gone. Even when I spoke to him, his responses were sparse. He could be tired from his non-stop work. I really thought so in the beginning. Although I offered it late, I volunteered to help him with his work or any household chores, but he refused it all. I don't want it. I don't need it. And in the end, leave me alone. Yes, that's what he said. It could have been my imagination. I wanted to think I was just paranoid, but I could tell. He was avoiding me. Why? What happened to Lavan? Did I do something? I couldn't come up with an answer no matter how much I thought. I could only be confused as time continued to pass. I worried about it on a daily basis. I walked around the manor in a melancholic mood and heard a loud noise in the living room. What was going on? I didn't think Lavan would make that kind of noise. Suspicious, I quietly went to the living room, and there was... Levi? Hey! A simple response came back to me. It had been a long time since I'd seen him. Are you okay? You're looking a little sallow to me for some reason. Then again, it was very normal when it came to Levi. What are you doing? Levi was trying to put together a large bag. It was overflowing and about to burst. You can't tell? I'm asking because I can't. I'm gathering my stuff. I'm leaving this place. Huh? Well, I'm practically never here. That may be true, but why all of a sudden? I don't want to keep being a third wheel when you two newlyweds are here. You're not a bother. I've never thought of you that way. So he did find out you guys were married? I know that. I know you or Lavan would never think that. Then why? It's awkward for me. I found a great place, so I figured I'd move out. Well, that isn't the only reason. There's other things I need to think about. But... Don't make that face. I'll drop by to visit from time to time. And you can come visit me too. Alright, I got it all in. Levi was victorious in tying up his bag. He quickly stood up. Well, see you later. I already told Lavan. Just throw away whatever's left that's mine. He was gone. It was so sudden that I couldn't do anything but watch him leave with a blank look on my face. In the living room were scattered things that were now considered trash. I was left behind here all alone. I didn't know Levi owned so much stuff. My mind went to a completely tangential thought. Tangential? Then again, if he left them behind, it might not belong to him. Most of Levi and Lavan's belongings must have burned in the previous manor. Whatever survived the fire and what was stowed safe away in storage was brought over here, but... I looked around the room to see glasses and plates stacked high. These definitely don't belong to Levi. A plate that was left far from the others caught my eye. It was a pictorial plate with a portrait on it. I knew the person who was on it. It was Ashen Hawk. I can't believe that came into play in this ending. That's crazy. It must be when he was still called Apris. He usually dressed slovenly, but he was wearing formal attire here and making a serious expression. This was exactly how Apris looked in the flashback of the past Hughes showed us. He really is the Lord of the Wolves. I knew it to be true, but I still couldn't reconcile it with my image of him. I only knew him as Ashen Hawk. Speaking of which, how was he doing now? Thinking about him made me nostalgic.
Jed?
Oh! Lavan? I was reminiscing and didn't notice Lavan coming up next to me. He looked exhausted, but seemed slightly more gentle than usual.
Levi was here.
Yeah. It had been a while since we last talked. It made me strangely nervous. Did you need something?
Nothing. I saw you, so I'm
like, of course, the one day he's like in a slightly better mood, he catches you like staring wistfully at his dear old dad. Please, why is this so painful? His voice trailed off, and his expression froze. He saw what I was holding in my hand.
He still had that.
Oh! He took the pictorial plate. Without another look at the portrait, Lavan tipped his hand. The plate slipped and fell to the floor, shattering into countless pieces. What are you... Yeah... What happened to you? I stopped myself midway. Lavan's eyes were terribly clouded. I've seen those eyes once before. It was when I looked inside his heart. That's right. Lavan hated his father.
Because of him, Mother. Because of him, his blood flows through my veins. No. 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 Die. Die.
Those eyes were filled with hatred for Apris, Ashen Hawk.
Disgusting.
The darkness of his voice sent chills up my spine. You still can't forgive him? Your father. I managed to speak despite being intimidated by Lavan's eyes.
Seems that way.
He made it sound so impersonal.
I was able to suppress it before, thanks to you.
Me?
You made me realize many things since I was a child. About how selfishly I always thought of things. I always wanted to be right. I wanted to live in a way different from that man.
Lavan put his hand over his chest and gripped his shirt. Underneath must have been the ring he inherited from his father.
I never wanted to inherit his selfish blood.
You're not selfish, Lavan. You always cared about Francisca and Levi. Ever since we were children. Me, too.
But what about me now?
Huh?
Am I doing the same thing as that man? Am I tying you down through my own selfishness? Tying you to the Wolf Clan? And to me?
That's not true! You saved me! I rejected that notion immediately, but he twisted my words for the worse.
You probably say that man also saved you.
That man?
You were living in that tower with the ghost of that man, weren't you? He tied you down so that you would live with him.
No! Ashen Hawk never restrained me. He always did everything for my sake. At first I didn't have a choice, but gradually I enjoyed my life with him. Girl, that sounds like Stockholm Syndrome though, the way you described that, like, oof.
He should have been dead. And yet he tied you down, even after becoming a ghost. And I'm doing the same as that man.
I'm not here because I'm tied down. I'm not reluctant at all to live with you, Lavan. I wanted to live with him because he was Lavan. He had always helped me ever since we were children. He chose me over the whole town. What Lavan was saying wasn't wrong. It was true that the two of them could be seen as doing the same thing. But both of them created a place I could call home. There was no malice there, yet Lavan was suffering because his actions were similar to that of his father's. He didn't know the feelings behind what Ashen Hawk, what his father did.
As a father, a husband, and a friend, I'm a failure as a human being. The children, my wife, and my friends all hate me. I've done things deserving of that hatred. I've done things that can never be forgiven.
You didn't love Francisca?
No, I did love her.
Okay, so this is a flashback from when we were in the map section. We could have talked to Ashen Hawk at the tower. And this is a flashback from then. Interesting. Man. This ending's a lot more involved than I thought it would be. Ashen Hawk said that he did things that were deserving of hatred. And that he loved his wife, Francisca. And even you, Lavan.
That's impossible!
Lavan!
Even if that may be true, that love will never be accepted. It can only be forced onto others. What a joke. I also...
Mere words might not have been enough to convey the message, so I reached for his hand. But he moved his hand away. Lavan?
I'm afraid of being touched by you right now.
After saying that, he left the room. I couldn't stop or follow him. All I could do was watch as he left. I had no intention of peering into his heart. I had seen with the power of my eye the darkness inside Lavan. If I used my witch's eye, I might have been able to see more. But the hatred inside Lavan isn't caused by the magical stone. It resides deep within his heart. Taking away the magical stone wouldn't solve it. Right now, my words and emotions could not reach him. I couldn't tell him how I feel. What am I doing? I already knew of the darkness that resided in Lavan's heart and the reason it existed. I should have known that Lavan was acting strange, and yet I did nothing. Lavan had been enduring it alone all this time, and he hid the growing darkness within himself from me. I've lived with him all this time. I'm supposed to be his wife. He did so much to save me, and I did nothing in return. I mean, to be fair though, he didn't make it easy for you. He acted hella strange from day one he saved you. I've done nothing for Lavan. Now was not the time to feel down. There should still be something I could do. I wanted to do something for Lavan. Something I could do to give him back his smile. I have to think. Renewing my resolve, I looked at the shattered pictorial plate. One of the pieces with Apris's eye met my own.